Hello, my name is Fear Dragon, and welcome to another Modest Musings. I missed last week. I apologize for that. I thought that I had done one and uploaded it, and then just came to Thursday. I was like, I didn't actually do anything today for Modest Musings. So here we are, 1 week late. Today's topic is going to be a bit about Brood War Remastered and a couple other things like Dota and a little bit of Super Mario 64, just like kind of a little bit all over the place. But the general topic is going to be about one aspect of games that I think can make them very interesting. And I will tie this back a little bit to StarCraft 2 in a bit, but the aspect of games I'm talking about is almost every single game that I think has an interesting movement design ends up being a pretty interesting game. So, for example, the example I always like to use, this is like my explanation of why I personally I don't want to offend too many people here. Granted, I think most people are probably gonna not like League of Legends anyways, but I personally do not enjoy League of Legends as much as Dota because I feel as though in Dota they did an exceptional job of making movement just an interesting decision. So in Dota, the reason why it's interesting is because general attacks and everything are very slow. Most attacks, almost every attack in Dota, well, I won't say almost every attack, most attacks in Dota have a startup animation that lasts long enough for a lot of like the top level players, even like mid level players, even low level players sometimes like me, to react. So you can fake things out, you can pretend like you're gonna do an action and like cancel it because everything has a long startup animation. The second thing about it is that they also have sight radius that is actually very finicky. Like an object, if there is a tree over here, I cannot see this entire area. Like if there's a tree right here, we cannot see each other. Like I have very limited range. So the combination of those two things in conjunction, like add in I guess make the movement in Dota much more interesting. So it allows you to do things in Dota where in League of Legends, I think a lot of the time, if you are a low mana and low health, if you have like 10 mana and 10 health, the number of things you can do in League of Legends, the number of options or tools that you have available to escape from a pursuer or to do anything really incredible, I think is very limited. Compared to Dota, where I think that if you have no health and no mana, you actually still have this always available option of moving in an interesting fashion and abusing the other mechanics by just moving around in the game. And I think it's so fascinating. To bring up like the Super Mario 64 thing, one thing that the developers of Super Mario 64 said was that when they designed that game, which I think is highly regarded as just a phenomenal game, it was groundbreaking in so many ways, even beyond just its time. Like it's still a very fun game to this day. And the reason why it stands up, I think, is because when they designed the game, they said, let's design a physics system and all this other stuff where we just enjoy moving around in the system, and then we'll design levels afterwards. And that, I think, was a really key decision because moving around the game is fun, so almost everything else that you do in the game just enhances the movement. Like, you don't have to... The minimum bar is now up here instead of, like, way down here. Because if moving around the game is fun, it's awesome. Like, Dust Force is another really great example of this. Moving around in the indie game Dust Force is incredibly fun. If you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend it. It has a great soundtrack, too. But bringing it back to Brood War, I really didn't expect to get back on the Brood War hype train nearly as much as I have. It's been a while since I woke up for work and I thought I want to play a game right now. I really just want to play a game more than anything else right now. I don't want to go to work. I'm willing to wake up early. I woke up at 7 a.m. today because I happened to wake up and I was like, I could stay in bed, but I kind of just want to go play StarCraft Remastered. Like, I kind of want to just go play Brood War. And that hasn't happened to me in a really long time. And I think a lot of it comes back down to the idea of movement in Brood War. And it almost takes in the opposite direction of Super Mario 64. I think movement, you feel very empowered. In Brood War, in a lot of ways, you feel depowered through movements. But remember, I didn't say movement you have to have like a ton of power, because I think in League of Legends, movement is very precise. Like you always can move exactly where you want to, and all like that kind of stuff. It's like very accurate. And same thing in StarCraft 2. But in Brood War, because both you and your opponent are like depowered in a lot of ways, but there's still room to do things accurately. I do apologize if you heard a little Skype beep. Let me go ahead and go mute. But if you do things properly, you can actually tell units to move the way that you want them to. It requires a lot more effort and can be frustrating at times. But the big thing about it is that you have to work. Oh my god, now this is just embarrassing. Now I just have like all my backup alarms going off. The most unprofessional Modest Musings ever. Let me go ahead and turn off my last alarm. There we go. But anyways, what I was saying is that in Brood War, you have the potential to make movement interesting. I can move forward up a ramp by controlling very well and really finicking my way around, getting my units to move through a ramp, or even preventing my opponent from moving forward. If my opponent has 20 zealots and I have like 5 dragoons, that is just a fight I should be losing. This is actually like a real situation that happened. But I position myself, and this is kind of goes back to movement, a little bit like terrain abusing. I position myself at the ramp. I messed with the movement of my opponent's units, and I microed my dragoons really well. I built up like 3,000 minerals in the process, but I had an expansion. My opponent didn't. So like by holding off with just 5 dragoons versus like 15 zealots, because he just was A-moving them in. He's just like, yeah, just kill him. And then I was able to maneuver my stuff around and abuse little building positions, like stop position some probes and mess with the zealots so they couldn't actually close the distance. And it empowered me. It allowed me to do things that were interesting just based on movement. And the reason why movement, I think, is so profoundly important I won't say it's the only way to design an interesting game, but the reason why I think it can have such a profound effect on a game is because movement is going to be the thing that you almost always have. In a game where you have like mana and spells and like all these other kinds of crazy things, movement is going to be the thing that you almost all, unless you just are a building, all right, you're going to have movement available. If you're playing a real-time strategy game or a MOBA or like any of these other games which are in the real-time aspect, movement is going to be an option almost always. The only time that I think it's really nice, like when you're in a turn-based sort of situation. This is one of the reasons why also I personally really prefer Smash Brothers versus a lot of other fighting games. I think Street Fighter and all these other things are super awesome games. I actually really enjoyed like Street Fighter 4 stuff. But Smash Brothers to me is like such an exceptional game because there's so much more room for free range movement. And it meant that even if you were playing a character that didn't have as many options, you were given options that you could create options out of seemingly nothing by moving exceptionally well. So that's today's Modest Musings. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Let me know if you agree or disagree. And if you guys are playing StarCraft Remastered, I am also really considering streaming StarCraft Remastered. I haven't streamed any of my games because to me it was just like, I just felt like playing. I'm going to play this. I don't play games very often anymore. Outside of like when I stream. So I just wanted to do that, and I've been having a lot of fun with it and shrugging some of my responsibilities when it comes to casting and everything. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Upcoming stuff, I don't have anything coming up this weekend because I'm going to be going for a wedding. The following weekend is going to be WCS Challenger. I am going to try to do as much coverage of that as possible, but I will be coming home from work and like probably starting things up a bit late. But on top of that, NA Ladder Heroes Monthly Finals is going to be happening, and that will be on the Sunday, like the day after Challenger ends for North America. And that'll also be a qualifier for Kings of the North, so be sure to check that out. But yeah, have a wonderful, wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen, and keep StarCrafting.